I'm really excited to dive into today's show about how I've been using AI, digital marketing, and video to build and grow Retirement Rescue Weekly. In today's world, content creation isn't just about putting out a podcast or a video every now and then. It's about creating a system that consistently delivers value, resonates with your audience, and drives real engagement. Now, Rob Sousa has been teaching you all these things for weeks now, but I'm going to show you how I, as a financial planner, have been integrating these tools into my practice, not just to simplify my workflow, but to truly connect with retirees and help them navigate the challenges of retirement. Stay tuned. This is an episode of Digital Advisor Weekly you won't want to miss.
Welcome to the Digital Advisor Weekly broadcast. Looking to boost your business with the latest trends, innovative tech, and must-have resources? Join us to discover how to successfully scale your practice and automate the process. Here to guide you is your host, the dynamic leader of Advisor Marketing Hub and managing partner at American Financial, Rob Sousa.
Well, welcome to Digital Advisor Weekly. In case you're wondering, no, I'm not Rob Sousa. Rob Sousa is on assignment. I've been asked to guest host today. I'm a host of Retirement Rescue Weekly, and it's been a pleasure to actually step in today. I kind of feel like Jay Leno stepping in when Johnny Carson used to host the late night show. You know, you kind of tune in and be like, who's that guy? Why is Johnny Carson not here? Hopefully you guys don't feel the same way about me, but I want to share some of the things that I've been doing in my practice. I thought it'd be really helpful to say, you know, the stuff that Rob's teaching, how it's actually being used and how actually working for someone like me and how you guys can implement it into your own practice. So I thought I'd be able to help today and help teach on some of the things that I'm doing. So again, as I said, I'm with Retirement Rescue Weekly. My show is live on Thursdays at 11 on Eastern time zone, 8 on the West Coast. And this is actually a project that started a couple of years ago during the pandemic. I actually got connected with Rob during the pandemic. We started sharing ideas about how we could navigate this new world. We kind of felt like the industry was behind in times greatly. And so we said, what can we do to start doing things more digitally and taking our industry forward? And we started sharing ideas, and we were both very helpful for each other. And we got to become really good friends during the pandemic. So I started thinking about this retirement rescue project back then, and it kind of took some slow steps to come forward. And what happened is during the pandemic, me and my family, we were looking for a way to help. And there's a lot of people that were hurting. And one of the things that we found that things that were hurting were the furry pets, rescue dogs. They were kind of getting left behind because we all had to stay home, and these dogs, they were still needing help, but they were kind of getting left behind. So my family stepped up and said, we want to bring in these rescue dogs. We're going to foster them in our own home. We're going to love them up, and we're going to try to find a way to get them adopted into their forever home. And it started off as something like, we're going to see how this goes. And it ended up being really cool for us. And what I did is I used that as a springboard to build my brand. Now, when you're talking about financial advising, I think what a lot of financial advisors really forget about is how important the brand is. And I always go back to, if you go online to look for a new doctor, which I just did, and it's extremely frustrating because it's like, how do I tell these different doctors from each other? How do I know which one's going to be best for me? And that's exactly what retirees and clients do when they go online to look for someone that can help them with retirement, is they go, who can help me with this actually? Who's actually going to do what's best for me? How do I know who I can trust? And that's really hard. So the brand is so important. So that's where I started thinking about, how do I build this brand for me? How do I build this thing that's going to set me apart from other people? So I started talking about retirement rescue, and it was kind of a play on how we were rescuing these dogs from these really terrible situations and helping them get into a better position going forward. And I thought, you know what? That's actually what I do for a living too. I actually help retirees with a lot of things related to that. So that whole brand kind of started there for me. And it's so important to have that brand, because when you think about, why does someone make a decision to work with you? It's that know, like, trust. How do I know you? Do I like you? Do I trust you? Do you know what you're talking about? And you have to kind of build that as part of your brand. And so I used the idea of helping these animals as a way to kind of springboard how I could set myself apart from other people in the industry. Now, what I try to strive on is thinking about what are the things that people really struggle with when it comes to approaching retirement. And as a former sports reporter, I always use a lot of sports analogies. I think about the retirement red zone. When we get into that final stage before we retire, what do we have to know about? How do we build that retirement paycheck? How do we worry about taxes and inflation and building, creating an estate plan and Medicare, long-term care, all those different things? How do we address those things? And I've had so many people over the last couple of years say, "Curt, I didn't know about any of these things. Retiring is hard. How come I didn't know all these things? I don't have time for all this. I'm busy working, trying to save. I don't understand all this stuff." So that's where that whole retirement rescue brand came from, and that's why the podcast exists. So that's where that kind of helped us springboard this into a weekly show that we can help then teach people how this all works. Now, on a weekly basis, I use ChatGPT to prep for the week, for my content, for my digital marketing. And what I do when I was getting ready for the show is I would go on there and I had to teach ChatGPT who I was. I had to create a persona. I had to say who I was, what I liked, what I'm passionate about, what type of people I want to work with, what types of things that they deal with. And once I started teaching it, then as I prompted more and more and more, it started learning about what I wanted. And what I did is I said, here's the type of people I want to work with. And then I went in there and I said, tell me, for example, the top 10 things that they struggle with. And then I'm going to build 10 episodes off of those. And that's what I've been doing so far. I'm on episode 8, I believe, right now. So I built that off of that Chat GPT. So it kind of looks for things that people are saying online that they're struggling with, or people, that audience. And then I took it from there. And then what I did is I said, okay, now I want to actually build the show. I want to build what I want to talk about each week. And then I want to take stuff that I can give to our VA team so that they can do things during the week to promote it, to invite people to it, to make sure people, if they miss it, can get to the replay and things like that. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes now as I look at how I approach the week using ChatGPT. All right, so now that we got a good list of show topics that we think is going to resonate with our audience, which is really important because you want to make sure you're putting content in front of people that are going to have an interest for that content. And you want to do a lot of research to find out what are some of those topics that have the most pain for that particular audience. So we're going to start with taxes. I want to show you kind of how I build a show based on that topic then. So that was one of the top 10. So we're going to put this in here. I already did the research here. So we're going to create a 10-minute presentation about taxes and the need to do proactive tax planning for retirees. And it will teach on the 3 tax buckets: taxable, tax deferred, tax free. I'm going to explain the current tax rates are, where they could be headed with some different laws, depending on who wins the election, and explain why that's important. Provide examples of the biggest concerns retirees have regarding taxes, what misconceptions they may have. Provide a case study showing a retired couple who did not do proactive tax planning and the dangers it caused to their retirement, and provide a list of action steps they can take now to protect their retirement, and provide a call to action to take them to a landing page for a tax analysis from me. So let's take a look and see what the AI is going to do with this now. So what it's going to do is it starts creating this. First of all, it gives me a title. I'm going to talk about the title a little bit later because I'm going to show you how our VA team might take this and do something more with this. But you're going to see how it's then going to start creating slides. So then you could easily go over to Canva, which is what I do. I go to Canva, and then I can start creating these slides, and then you can just look and build something around your brand colors, or pull up some different images, and then you're going to be able to quickly make this presentation. And then, of course, obviously you don't want to be reading off screen, so I'm not going to have that much text on it. I'm going to speak on it more, but here we have the introduction to tax planning, the 3 tax buckets. I'm going to explain what those are. Current tax rates, where they could be headed. And they're going to talk about the Tax Cut and Job Acts going away and things like that. Why this matters for retirees, obviously. Common concerns, misconceptions. Here's a case study here then, where we're going to show Mark and Susan. They retired with $1 million in their 401k. expected to withdraw that gradually. The problem is they didn't account for RMDs and rising tax rates. And then what happens is that's going to cause unexpected financial strain. And we could actually even go even further on this one then too then. Some action steps then to diversify, consider Roth conversions, things like that. Call to action. That's going to take them to that landing page. Now, what I'll do with that is I'm going to give that to the VA team, and the VA team is going to create that landing page and go high level. And it's basically just a form that they're going to fill out to basically get an appointment with me then to do that. And then inside of this, then that's just the way the show's laid out. Now, what I'll do sometimes is I will prompt more to get more specific, or if I say, hey, I really want to learn more about particular tax buckets, like let's hear more about capital gains. So we're gonna dive deeper in here, and I could prompt more to say, tell me more about that, and it's gonna add me more information. And then you just kind of take that and you kind of collaborate it, and then you go to Canva and start building your slides. Now, another thing I do then is as I'm building this, I'm building what I call a weekly content document for my VA team. And then what that does is it gives them all the information they need to kind of work on stuff for me during the week for the show. So I'm going to say, hey, write a blog post about the effect taxes can have on retirement. Make sure to point out the importance of understanding retirement income streams and the impact on daily living expenses and longevity. So we're going to put that as a prompt. And then what's going to happen is as I start getting all this content, I'm going to put it on a document for them. And then they can start working on these things for me during the day while I'm working on other things, while I'm meeting with clients or working on the show, things like that. So they can start working on that. And then this could go out on LinkedIn. It can go on your website. It can go on a blog. It can be part of an email. There's different things that this could be used for. So as that kind of finishes up, I'll show you what that looks like. Obviously some good information. And now I don't take it as is. I'm the kind of guy that I kind of know what I want and I'm going to keep prompting or I'll just tweak it to way it sounds more like me. Now, as you train the AI, again, it's going to train it to speak more like you. It's going to take some time though, so it's not going to be sounding like you right away. But the more and more you prompt it, the more and more you tweak it, it'll start understanding what you're looking for. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I want to now write a short email invite to retirees to read that article, watch the video I'm going to create as well, and highlighting the benefits. So it's going to create an email for me. I have a link to the video that I'll have, which I'll tell you about how that goes. And then I'm going to say, okay, I want my VA team to also be promoting this show, promoting my content on social media such as Facebook, YouTube, X or Twitter, Instagram, things like that. So I'm going to say, hey, I want you to now to create some social media posts along with some suggested images and some hashtags that are going to be a benefit for getting attention for those posts. And what it's going to do is it's going to start prompting different social medias. And again, this is all important because we want to have the right hashtags. We want to make sure that we have the backlinks to our content because that's going to give us more authority. So you're going to see different social medias out there as it goes through the different ones. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, this is where I do a little bit different. Now, my background is I used to be on TV for a living. So I like to take things that are complex, make them visual, make them understandable. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, I want to create a 2-minute video explaining why it's important to do Roth conversions with your IRA before you reach required minimum distribution age. And I'm going to say, I want it to show some personality, which it's starting to know my personality. I want to use a pop culture reference because I think sometimes when you bring things to life related to something people understand already, it'll help it make it a little bit easier to understand. And I really want it to be unique and witty and understandable for my audience. So I'm going to show you what this looks like here. So it's going to prompt this now, and then what I'll do then is I will take this script because it's going to give me a script. It's going to even give me some different things to show on video. And this one's using Indiana Jones. So obviously this one would be one that people would probably recognize as I'm doing it. And it's going to have some different things here then to escape the tax boulder and reach out for tax analysis then. So then what I would do is I would take that script, I would go to my video editing software, I would find some video that I could use to cover, I would record my audio, and I would create this video. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a moment too, of how I do that. But that's kind of a quick look at how I kind of prepare for the week for my show. So I hope that it was helpful. All right, so I want to take you behind the scenes. I know that was a lot to show, but I thought it'd be easy for you to see as I went through the prompts. Now, every show I try to add some video asset into the show as a way to teach and show some personality. Again, we're trying to build the brand and try to help be relatable. So I'm always trying to add something to the show. So I'm always looking for things that I can put inside. Now, those individual assets, even though they're part of the show, they can be used on their own on different campaigns. It could be on email. It could be on social media. So there's some more legs for those particular video assets that we can use in multiple ways. So what I want to do now is I want to kind of show you one of the video assets I made for our inflation topic a couple weeks ago. Now, when I made that one, I was trying to think of what could I do creatively to kind of illustrate inflation, because I didn't want to just put up like a screen that says, here's what inflation is. It costs more than it did before. That's boring. So I actually came up with an idea that I said, this is something that would probably resonate with a lot of people. And I think a lot of people probably recognize it. So this is what I ended. So that was a fun one to make, by the way. I actually had to go walk around Walmart with a camera and with my iPhone. And I was kind of worried about Walmart getting nervous about me doing that, but I'm guessing there's enough TikTokers nowadays that they're probably used to it. But it was one that I kind of wanted to do because I thought, hey, every time you watch that movie, I think about this 8-year-old that would go to the grocery store and buy all this stuff, and I'm just like, it's kind of a weird scene, but interesting anyway. So it was fun to show how that would cost more money today. Now, a lot of times too, what I want to do is I want to create an emotion, because emotion is what drives people to make a change. A lot of times it's pain. So market volatility is one of those things that really drives a lot of pain. So I created a visual based on something that I myself am not comfortable with to help explain that. So let's take a look. Retirement can feel like stepping onto the ultimate roller coaster. At first, the ride up is thrilling.
The stock market on a rocket ride, blasting through a ceiling and closing at an all-time high.
Stock market, Dow Jones Industrial Average just hit 30,000, which is the highest in history.
The market is growing, your portfolio is expanding, and life feels good. For years, you've been contributing to your retirement accounts, and you're watching the balance climb higher and higher. That steady growth feels great, almost effortless. Everything is on track. You're enjoying the ride. Retirement feels closer, and your future looks bright. But here's the thing. What goes up must come down. And when you're retired, that downhill plunge can be a lot scarier than you think. So when this aired on the show, I actually paused it right there on purpose for dramatic effect because the ride up feels good. The ride down does not feel good. So I went into some more explanation and then I teed up the way down. Remember that roller coaster ride up? Well, here's the part that most retirees fear. The wild, unpredictable drop. When the market takes a downturn, it's like this roller coaster, free falling. And unlike when you were younger in retirement, those drops hit a lot harder. Suddenly, all the growth you enjoyed starts to disappear, and fast. The losses can feel overwhelming. For retirees who are withdrawing money to live, the timing can be brutal.
Bad day.
Bad day for you?
Another one, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Too many in a row.
And it's not just one drop. Market swings can be unpredictable. One moment you're up, the next you're down. And if you're relying on this money for your retirement income, it can feel like financial whiplash. This isn't just numbers on a screen. This is your livelihood. It's the difference between staying in your home or downsizing. The difference between traveling or cutting expenses. And the worst part? You have no control over it. You're stuck, just watching as your life savings ride these unpredictable waves, wondering, when will it stop? How much will I lose? You're thinking, should I sell? Should I hold? What if it drops more tomorrow? Will I have enough to last? The anxiety keeps building, but there's no easy answer. So in that episode, I actually had a third video piece, which I'm not going to show you at this time, but it kind of explains some different things to think about, especially when you get to retirement. I always kind of explain how the methods and goals of retirement are much different than when you're working. When you're working, it's about accumulation. When you're in retirement, it's about income and preserving. So it's a little bit different mentality. So I explained that. I want to give a quick shout out to the VA team too. They are a huge help to me. As I mentioned earlier in the show, how I was an early adopter to OpenAI when it first came available because I was working a million hours and I wanted some help. The VA team is awesome because I can actually create this weekly content document and say, here's the things I want to do. And then they'll go and run with it. And so they are taking care of a lot of things, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And do I recommend you have VAs help you? Here's what I think.
Yes! 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 Yes!
So I do. They are very helpful. So what they do for me kind of is I will give them that list each week of the social media, the blogs, the hashtags, different things, and they'll start promoting, they'll invite and things like that. And they're working through that list. Now, as we talked about earlier too, when ChatGPT creates the content for the show, they give it a title, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what we're going to use. So one of our VAs is actually going to take that and she's going to use a software called vidIQ, and she's going to run that through to see what is going to be the most effective on YouTube. It's going to have the best keywords and things like that. They're going to get us the most attention, and she'll run that. And so like for this episode here that you're going to see for Social Security, she gave me a couple of recommendations. So she said, hey, here's one that says boost Social Security income with these expert tips. The overall score is 88. We want to be above 70. And then here's another one, unlock massive Social Security benefits now. And of course, that one's a 92. So this is the one that we ended up using. So we can use the technology to help us get us the best headlines and keywords. And then what she's going to then do is say, okay, now we need a thumbnail for YouTube and for the show. So let's come up with some designs for that. Now, she only has so much to work with. She's got to deal with this wacky guy here playing all the time. But so she came up with a couple different designs based on the titles. And then, so now when you go scroll through YouTube, these are the things that you're going to see that kind of get your attention. And so she does a really good job of visualizing that for me then, so that we can make sure we get attention on this video asset. Now, again, they're going to take that list. They're going to do blog posts, social media hashtags, email invites, and they're going to take care of that all for me. So it's very helpful. So again, yes, they're very helpful. They're also going to help with managing social media throughout the week. So as people are asking about the, questions about something from the show, they're making sure we're trying to get more followers for some of our pages. So we can make sure we're getting in front of a bigger audience for the show as well. So again, things that would normally take a little bit of time here and there, that adds up, takes me away from some more important things. So it's very helpful in that aspect. So again, I wanted to take you behind the scenes and show you, here's the things that Rob is teaching on, and here's me using them to help me with my practice. So I hope this is a really helpful way for you to see like how this actually would work as a financial advisor using these things. And again, very helpful. ChatGPT, it doesn't replace me. It helps me. It helps me with research. It helps me to fine tune things. I'm still doing, I kind of know what I want to talk about. I mean, I've talked about Social Security and taxes a million times. I know what I want to talk about, but I need to figure out how to word it for the niche, or how to make it so that it's going to, maybe it's a specific part of that, particular topic I want to drill in a little bit further to talk on. It's going to help me do that research really quickly. And there's some tools that can make slides quick and things like that. Canva is really nice because I can do some things with Canva too that are pretty nice. So, but I wanted to show you what I'm doing again. So keep with it. Keep listening to Rob. He knows what he's talking about. We're together. We're really working together on how we can help advisors use some of these things, since the pandemic. And if you're wanting to check out my show, it's Thursdays at 11 a.m. on the East Coast, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. And please let us know what questions you have as far as how I'm implementing it into my practice. Looking forward to talking to you again next